As rumors of North Korean leader Kim Jong Un's ill health take over the world, reports say that a special train, possibly belonging to him, was spotted at a resort town in the east of the country. Now, these reports echo South Korean intelligence claims that Kim Jong Un is staying outside the capital, Pyongyang. The train has been parked at the leadership railway station servicing his Wonsan compound. This is Kim Jong Un's personal railway station dedicated to the family. Now, more importantly, the train has been parked there since the 21st of April. While no one knows about his whereabouts, many believe that the leader is at his coastal resort in Wonsan. Earlier, the daily NK Seoul-based news agency reported that Kim was recovering after undergoing heart surgery on the 12th of April. Since then, many South Korean media outlets said that Kim might be staying in Wonsan. Now that the train at Wonsan and his absence at recent events are strong indications of the fact that the North Korean leader could be seriously ill. Dr. Robert Edwin Kelly is an inter-Korean affairs professor in the Department of Political Science at Busan National University. He is joining us live from Busan. Good afternoon to you, Doctor. Now, we know that we believe that Kim's private train is parked in Wonsan, and the rumors are rife regarding the health of the North Korean leader. What are the latest updates that you have for us?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you know as to the specifics of his health, which is to say that we really don't know very much, right? There's been a lot of sort of scuttlebutt in Japanese and Chinese media, but not in the bigger, more reliable sources in those countries. There have been sort of hints here and there in South Korea that, yeah, as you said, sort of the train at Wonsan and things like that. But nobody actually can speak to his health, and so I think there's been a great deal of speculation. And there are serious issues, obviously, if he is incapacitated about succession and stuff like that. But you know, North Korea has always kept the health of its leadership very, very close to the chest. It's always something they've been very quiet about and have lied about in the future. So if something has happened to him, we're not going to know until the people who succeed him have decided what story they want to put out afterward.
What do we know about the Chinese team, including the medical experts who have been sent to check on Kim Jong Un? Has there been any updates from that?
Yeah, again, only the sort of the same rumors that everybody else has heard, sort of drifting around sort of second-rate websites. I mean, that's really the problem, right? I mean, if you actually look at sort of the main news websites in Korea and stuff like that in the United States, in Japan, they're not running this story either, right? Everybody's sort of really, really cautious because the North Koreans have sort of played us before, if you will. The North Koreans have sort of trolled us in the past with information about the leadership. You know, we talk, oh, we hadn't see them at this or that meeting or something like that, and then a week later they show up and they're okay. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of mainstream outlets have really sort of been very careful about whether or not to go with this story. Beyond that, I would only say that the North Korean health system is pretty primitive, even for the elite. And so whenever North Korean leaders have gotten in real trouble or North Korean elites have gotten in health trouble in the past, they've had to refer to foreign doctors from Europe or from China. China is not a surprise because it's North Korea's biggest economic partner. But really, that's all we know, and so I'm a little loath to sort of like speculate. You know, is he dead or incapacitated? We just don't know.
Right, and then just talk to us a little bit about his residence at Wonsan. Why is it significant that he would be there as opposed to in Pyongyang? And obviously, with the train being there, that is where people believe him to be.
Right, so the train is sort of one of these sort of unique North Korean things, right? North Korea doesn't have particularly good infrastructure, and it's pretty small too. So the leadership doesn't fly around. The planes are old. You know, it's not like a sort of more modern country where the leadership actually risks flying in a plane. In North Korea, that's pretty dangerous, and so the leadership takes a train. The supreme leader has a bulletproof train, or at least he did under the previous Kim. And they take those all over the country for these sort of special tours where they go and sort of like walk around factories and farms and things like that. This is called on-the-spot guidance in North Korean sort of mythological language. And there are palaces. The last time I heard there was something like 18 or 20 of them. And the North Korean leaders sort of like run around to them. They're generally sort of in beach resorts and scenic mountains where they can go skiing and go to the beach and things like that. Whether or not there's some kind of special medical facility at Wonsan, I don't know. If there was, that would be something very much kept under wraps. But Wonsan is one of the places that the North Korean elite does go to the beach.
Right, and you mentioned it earlier, the question of succession. we have been hearing about Kim Jong Un's youngest sister.
Right. So on the question of succession, we have a great deal more hard data and hard information, right? Because we've had two of them already before in Korea. So the North Korean state has an ideology that really isn't Marxist or communist anymore. It's actually more like a monarchy, complete with like a feudal myth about a royal family. Specifically, the Kim family has been sort of chosen by Korean destiny to sort of rule North Korea. And so if this Kim dies, the architecture of the regime would suggest that you would need another Kim to rule. The problem is this Kim has three children. We think he has three children, but they're all too young. They're probably 5 or 6 years old if they exist at all, right? And so you need a blood relative then to sort of assume the throne, and that's why there's been focus on the sister. The issue, of course, with the sister is that North Korea is pretty traditional, if not reactionary, when it comes to gender norms. And so there's a lot of discussion about whether or not the old guard in North Korea would accept a female autocratic succession. That's pretty rare, actually. We've got other dictatorships. It's really hard to find sort of many examples of a female ascending like that. And we just don't know if the leadership would accept her, but she is the logical choice, yes.
Right, and we have seen her in the public eye recently. What do we know about her?
Well, there is discussion that she had some education abroad and things like that. You may recall that when this Kim died 7 years ago, there was also discussion, well, maybe he'd been educated abroad and therefore he might be a little bit more liberal. I find that highly unlikely. Most of the people within the Kim family, again, to the extent that we sort of know on the outside, and we don't have great information, but we assume that most of the people inside the Kim family broadly support the continuation of the regime, which is the monarchy built around them. So the idea that she would be like a Mikhail Gorbachev figure or a Deng Xiaoping figure who would sort of open things up and help sort of modernize or liberalize the country, I find that unlikely. I mean, she's almost certainly better than her brother, right? Her brother has turned out to be, pretty much a traditional sort of harsh despot. So hopefully she'd be better. But we really don't know. I mean, so far what we've seen of her participation in the summitry with Donald Trump and with the South Koreans has been that she's a pretty typical North Korean hardliner.
Right. Thank you very much for joining us. That is Dr. Robert Edwin Kelly, an Inter-Korean Affairs professor in the Department of Political Science at Busan.